I actually was not originally planning on going live today, but I ended up coming across a topic that has been repeating itself pretty consistently, so I wanted to go ahead and address it now. So, the topic that I wanted to talk about was a specific situation that involves, of course, relationships. Hi, this is Jessica Steele from Compassion Coaching. I work on self-love relationships and interpersonal relationships with romantic partners. So I love love, and I focus specifically on working with couples through conflict, through self-understanding, through working on self-love, and also through setting boundaries and respecting themselves and their partner as well throughout the relationship. And I wanted to start off really briefly just by mentioning an example of something that I noticed. So something that had come up was, for example, that blurry line between how do I know when I am respecting my own boundaries and also respecting my partner's boundaries. So I'm going to tell a quick story. So something that came up was I was out with my partner and with some friends, and there was a comment where there was a couple, and the woman was mentioning that she was really interested in, let's say, cutting her hair or doing a different hairstyle, cutting her hair shorter. And her partner, or the man that she's dating, her partner, I think made some comment about like, oh, but I like your hair long, you know, it looks so beautiful with a very long hair. And there was a moment where I was like, oh, this is boundaries and this is playing with the partner's dynamic. So I was vigilant and I was observing this because I love observing this kind of stuff. So if you're friends with me, like this is what I do. I observe things in real life and I see them as they happen. And her response to her partner was, yeah, well, it's my body and it's my hair, so I get to choose what I want to do. And it was just pretty like curt and to the point, and it was like, yeah, well, it's my choice. So like, you know, whatever you say doesn't matter because it's my hair, so I'm going to choose what I do with it. So that was really interesting to me because there are a couple of ways that this can be looked at or that this can be approached. Because in a relationship, we are choosing to spend our time with another person, another human being. And there are decisions that are going to be made throughout the course of the relationship that the couple will have to make together, and then there are also decisions that each partner will have to make individually. So this is a really interesting real life testimony to, okay, where are the boundaries in a relationship? How do we navigate that together? And what does that end up looking like? And so what was interesting is that the response that she gave in that moment was a response that came more from this impact of defense or of defensiveness, where it was like, yeah, well, doesn't matter because I get to choose and I get to do what I want, versus coming more from a, let's say, a different approach or collaborative approach. Now, this is a hard topic to talk about because it's really challenging to say to someone, oh, you have to make decisions based off of what someone else wants, or to tell another person, oh, you need to make more individualistic decisions because you're only considering what the other person wants and you really have to focus more on yourself. So there's multiple layers to this, and there are two very hard extremes that are easy to identify. So there's one extreme where the person or the couple is only making decisions based on what both of them want, and there is no sense of individuality or no sense of resistance of, yeah, but I want to do this today, or yeah, but I'd really prefer if you did that, or but I think you look really great with your hair this way or a certain way. So that's one extreme where there's no resistance, everything is just for the other person, it's all about what the other person wants. And then on the other side, we would say we have the opposite, where the opposite is 100% driven of individualistic. I do what I want, you know, I don't really care what you think or what you say because at the end of the day, it's my choice. It's my decision. It's my career. It's my hair. It's my clothes. It's whatever it is, right? It's mine. So those are two ends of that extreme, right? So we have the high individualistic level, and then we have the very high compliance level of just saying and doing and going with the flow of what the partner or the other person in the relationship says or needs or wants. Now, I stand on neither of those two ends because being at either end of those extremes can cause its own challenges. There are lots of instances, however, where people already predetermine, look, in our relationship, we're going to have separate homes, we're going to live separate lives, we are going to be married, we are going to be in a relationship together, but we are still going to do our own thing, and there might even be an openness to that relationship where we still are going to see other people, for example, but we're married. So there are lots of successful relationships that model that high individualistic side where it's very focused on myself, my career, and in addition to that, I have a loving partner and I have a relationship. There are also other relationships that can be successful on the opposite end of very high compliance, where you are complying with what your partner desires or needs or wants. And that might be something enjoyable. That might be for someone who loves to serve or to give or to please their partner, and that's very fulfilling for them. And they feel great doing that. And they're honestly happy. They're not doing it because they feel like they have to. They're not doing it because they don't want their partner to fight with them or get upset with them. They're not doing it out of any obligation. They're doing that because that's what they want, and that's what their boundaries are with their partner. So they already established, like, hey, we're going to make all our decisions together. This is the lifestyle we're going to live. We cohabitate. We share this space. Now, what I do my best to teach is on falling in that middle of that gradient. So on neither being too far to one extreme or the other. Because like I said, I have seen both extremes cause conflict, fights, and harm in relationships when one person or when the couple is pushed too far to one extreme or too far to the other extreme. So how to fall more in the middle of that and how to say, okay, it's not all about me when I'm dating. What I see more of in terms of which is more common is I see more of the high individualistic, like, screw it, I'll do what I want type of attitude versus the high compliance. So the high individualistic one will kind of be something that I see more commonly causing barriers instead of the high compliance. That one's a little more rare, at least as of right now of doing this video. That one's been more rare to find. But how to fall in the middle of that is looking at, so what decisions are we making together? Because what I teach is that for each individual person, at the end of the day, the decisions that are made about, let's say, for example, let me speak for myself. As a person, as a partner, how I would approach or teach this approach would be that at the end of the day, the decisions that I make are my decisions. So at the end of the day, the things that I, let's say, eat, drink, wear, say, do, activities, ways of interacting, at the end of the day, that's my choice. So at the end of the day, I get to choose if I am going to do X or Y, if I am going to go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, whatever it is in my life, that's a choice that I can make. Now, in addition to knowing that I have that autonomy or that independence, there's also a level of wanting feedback from the other person or from the partner, to the extent that if you're in a situation like the friends that I was watching this weekend or that I was hanging out with and that I observed a situation this weekend where there was a situation of, I'm considering this new hairstyle, and then the partner said, oh, but I really love your hair long. And then the response was, well, that doesn't matter because I get to choose what I get to do with my hair. That kind of snap response. It could have played out differently in different ways, and there are going to be a lot of people who disagree. There are going to be people who say, nope, like at the end of the day, that's the way it is. Like, she gets to decide what she does. The other person has absolutely no right to say anything. It's ridiculous for the other person to say, like, oh, my opinion matters. But that's where we see some of that resentment build up and calcify over time when one partner consistently feels like they're literally not being listened to, or like their opinion is zero or doesn't matter. Because a partnership is exactly that. It's a partnership. It's not a dictatorship where one person says, you can't cut your hair, and the other person has to say, okay, I guess I won't cut my hair, right? So that would be falling to one extreme. And the other extreme would be of one person saying, oh, I love your hair this way, and the other person saying, well, I don't care because I do what I want. So it's not saying that either is right or wrong, because like I said, there are relationships that are already set with those boundaries at every single level. There are relationships of people who are high individualistic, people who are high compliance, high codependence, and then somewhere in the middle. Now, what does somewhere in the middle look like? Somewhere in the middle just looks like I said, I decide at the end of the day what I do, what I say, how I think, what I think. However, it's that partner also saying, okay, well, at the end of the day, I enjoy feeling a certain way about my partner with my partner. So how can I get their feedback? So if there's food that's going to be cooked, what does my partner enjoy? Is there something I can do to go out of my way to make something special? Or is there a specific thing that I can do, or a way that I can present myself to be like, wow, this is something different, this is something unique, something special for dressing up for a date, or whether that is doing something like a surprise or something special. Basically, it is finding that middle ground between saying, I can make these decisions on my own, and at the same time, as a unit, how are we going to make decisions and approach decisions? And when your partner approaches you with a grievance or with a concern, just being aware that that's not a direct reflection of you, but that that person is coming to you because they want to be heard. So that's the biggest thing, is just seeing that that person is coming to you because they want to be heard. So if they comment on, oh, I specifically enjoy this type of thing, or I'm very attracted to this certain type of whatever it is, whether it's something superficial like hairstyle, or whether it's something more deep, like I'm attracted to this level of conversation, or I love talking about this topic, or I love doing this certain activity every weekend. Those are things that you can receive as feedback and that you can work on together to make that together. Because when you push to those opposite ends and you push to those extremes of, well, I don't care what you have to say, I'm going to do it my way because I have to put my needs first, and that's okay, as long as that's something that's in your integrity and that's respecting your boundaries. But if you're pushing that away just for the sake of saying, well, I do what I want, there's so much of that that a relationship can be resilient against, and that it can bounce back from, and that it can recover from, and that it can be healthy with. But when that's something that's a consistent pattern in a relationship that was never established from the beginning, of having that high individualistic pattern like I described, where the couple agrees we're going to have our separate bank accounts, we're going to live in separate homes, we're going to have an open relationship, but we're still going to have a loving relationship with each other. That's a more individualistic pattern that works for lots of people. But if that's something that's not established at the beginning, and then you have multiple conversations within your moderately to highly codependent relationship where you are pushing those individualistic ideas without kind of giving that pre-context, that can be a little bit difficult, and that can be where disagreements start to happen. So just wanted to put that out there because that's something that I've been seeing a lot recently as a pattern, and I wanted to address that because it can be really hard to stay in that neutral place and to not get defensive and to not say, well, screw you and your opinions, I don't care what you think, or to not say, well, that's your own opinion, keep that to yourself. Because especially with our, let's say, individualistic culture, that's something that's encouraged, that's something that is healthy to a very large extent. But then at the same time, when it's all about me in a relationship and I'm not focused on what I can give my partner and ways that I can love and give love, instead of what are the ways that I can receive and that I can take and that I can make sure I'm being taken care of and I can make sure I'm having my needs met, that's when a relationship will start to fall apart, because those pillars of that relationship, of reliability, of love, of compassion, and of servitude, of how can I help my partner, how can I give to my partner, those pillars will start to fall apart. Because when it's all about taking and what can I get and what can I benefit from this, that's where a romantic partnership won't really last long. And I can see that not lasting as long as the relationships of people who are focused on how can I give to my partner, how can I serve my partner, how can I hear them out when they're stressed, when they're struggling, and how can I respect their needs, instead of approaching from that instinctive defensiveness of I don't care what you say, or instead of reaching over to that other extreme of course I'll do literally whatever you want, where you're doing that to assuage or to please without doing it from a genuine place of your heart and a genuine place of, sure, yeah, we can do that. I would love to do that. So, food for thought for the beginning of our week on this Monday. Thank you for joining me for this live and for hearing me out. And thank you so much for your time. I hope you all have a great day. And join me at jessicaashleystill.com if you want to find more information and for more resources. I'll be back soon, guys. Bye.